What is good, YouTube, man? Today I'm back with you guys, with the nation, for another video, man. And today I got us a good one, man. It's been pretty slow, but the last 2 days we have been blessed with pressers by, Josh Jacobs, John Gruden, DC, Moehrig, Brian Edwards, who else? Gus Bradley. And today I'm only going to talk about select few because I want to keep some of these guys to speak on for tomorrow. I am going to be doing a live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tune in. But let me talk about some guys, because today I'm going to be talking about Josh Jacobs, DC, Edwards, and Moehrig, right? Those are the four guys I'm going to touch on. This is going to be the presser from 2 days ago, not the one from today, but the day before, yesterday's presser. Not the one from today, but yesterday's presser, right? I'm going to be talking about them, but before I get into today's videos, I have to give a big shout out to my boy, Icy Nate, yet again, is the creator of today's thumbnail. So go check his channel out. It is at icy_Nate. Go check his YouTube page out. Bless him with a follow, bless him with a subscribe, turn on his noties and everything. But let's get into today's video, right? So, like I said, I'm going to be talking about Jacobs, DC, Edwards, and Moehrig, right? Because those guys all spoke with the media not too long ago. And I'm going to start off with Jacobs, right? Because Jacobs is a guy who wasn't at the, the voluntary camps, the stuff like that, right? And many people said, why isn't he there? This, that, and the third. And he actually touched upon it in the interview, right? He was asked, what was there a blessing given by John Gruden to allow you not to show up, or did he tell you not to show up, or what was the case? And Josh Jacobs said that he was given the blessing by John Gruden, that he was allowed to go and work out privately with some other guys that he felt like he can specifically touch on certain skills. He said that the main stuff he was working on was core, balance, and some receiver routes. So there's that. He's been working on that kind of stuff. But I like to hear that kind of stuff, right? Because to hear John Gruden say, or to hear from Josh Jacobs that John Gruden basically gave him his blessing to go out and train on his own, we have to keep in mind that those weren't mandatory. Those were voluntary workouts. But it shows a lot of trust, right? It shows a lot of trust in the player that this person isn't going to slack off. It's not going to come back out of shape. They're not going to come back not ready and all that kind of stuff, So it shows a lot of trust and Josh Jacobs is a responsible guy, right? I mean, even DC said that we know he's going to come back healthy, ready to go. So there was that. Those were the reasonings why Josh Jacobs was not there. But another thing that Josh Jacobs said, that he was one of the main guys in the building after he saw Devontae Booker leave. He was the main guy fighting for to bring in Kenyon Drake, right? He said that Kenyon Drake at Alabama, although they didn't play together at Alabama, he kept coming back after he made it into the NFL. He kept coming back and working out with Alabama in the offseason at times while Josh Jacobs was still there. So Kenyon Drake was a guy that Josh Jacobs wanted in the building, right? So it's good to see that kind of stuff. It's not like Josh Jacobs is feeling replaced or anything like that. Josh Jacobs wanted him to be here. So there's that, right? I mean, I like that, man. I like that. I like that he wanted some more competition for himself, right? I mean, it's exciting to see that kind of stuff. And Josh Jacobs was also asked, what were your thoughts at the beginning when all the line changes? We had a lot of offensive line changes happening early on, and he was asked what he thought. He said, well, to start, he said that he was very shocked. He said he was very shocked and kind of asked himself, like, what are we doing? And after he asked himself that, right, he also told himself, okay, well, we replaced a lot of guys, and he actually said that he was excited on the guys that we brought in who replaced them, right? So for him saying that he went from shocked to actually being pretty excited and glad that, the guys that were brought in for a specific reason. So, those were the main things that Josh Jacobs liked to say and touched up on all the questions that he had. Now, as for DC, DC had some words himself. First and foremost, I believe one of the first questions was about Nelly and John Brown and that kind of stuff. And DC basically said, Nelly and John Brown are very similar in terms of the player and the skill set, but also as a person, right? He said they're both very, very head down, gonna teach the young guys, knows what they need to do. And even John Gruden, not too long ago, I believe it was today, said that John Brown is learning three positions at the wide receiver, so slot, X, and Y. Those are all are Z, X, and Y are all the guys that are all the position that John Brown is going to be playing, right? Those are the things that Nelly did last year, right? Nelly came in and he had to learn X, Y, and Z, all those three wide receiver positions, so outside on the opposite side in the slot, right? So that's what John Brown's doing, and DC, that they said that they were very, very similar. Now, DC also has some words to say about Kenyon Drake. He said Kenyon Drake is super fast and very, very explosive. He said he adds another weapon to this offense, right? I mean, I like to hear that, bro. Like, I like to hear that. Let's be honest. The last really person that we thought was going to be very, very explosive was Henry Ruggs, and he had an underwhelming season. So to hear that he's only been on the field with him for a couple of weeks, to hear that he's saying he's very fast, very explosive, adds another weapon to this team, I like to hear that kind of stuff. I really, really do. He also went on to speak about Willie Snead a small little bit. He said Willie Snead reminds him a lot in terms of the catch point and his hands. He said he has very, very strong hands. Reminds him a lot about how Crabtree played when he was with the Raiders, right? And I know Crabtree may not be the best player in the world, but in my opinion, that's a big comparison, right? I think that that's a very, very, very big comparison, because we know the chemistry that that DC and Michael Crabtree had, right? We know that chemistry, like, it was unmatched, right? I mean, it beat out Amari Cooper at times, right? So I'm very, very excited, man. I'm very, very excited. He also went on to say that with the whole Kenyon Drake signing, it allows us to not kill Josh Jacobs, right? I mean, that's a fact, right? We all know that Josh Jacobs, on the pace that he was going, he was almost averaging about 300 touches a year, right? That's almost over 1,500 touches by the end of his rookie year. And he said that bringing in Kenyon Drake allows us not to kill Josh Jacobs, right? It allows Josh Jacobs to be fresh. And he also went on to say, who wants to tackle Josh Jacobs when he's fresh? And that's a fact, man. That's a fact. I'm glad to hear Derek Carr say those kinds of things. He also says that I was surprised by this statement, because I think it's a very bold statement. He went on to say that when he was asked about this defense, right, he didn't say that this defense looked good. He didn't say that this defense looked faster. He didn't even say that this defense looked more athletic. He said this new defense that he's playing against looked great, right? Now, we have to think about it. DC is going on his 8th season, right? He's seen some actually great defenses, right? For him to say that, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of exciting, but at the same time, I was like, can it really be looking like this is such a vast improvement so soon? We don't even have the pads on. I really didn't know how to feel about that, right? Like, I didn't know if I wanted to be really, really excited, or if I felt like he was just overdoing it a little bit. But that's a big adjective right there. Great. He said that this new defense looked great, right? That excited me. It also made me question a little bit, but it is what it is, man. Let's hope that this defense really is looking great. Because if you compare the terms and the words and the adjectives that he used about the defenses before, when we brought in Damon Arnett and all those guys, he said, oh yeah, the defense looks faster. The year before that, he said, oh yeah, the defense looks more athletic. He's not saying those small little things no more. He said, this defense looks great. It's looking great. The great is a big word. I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's a big statement, in my opinion. Now, Bryan Edwards, he had, I believe, the shortest press conference out of all of them. He didn't have too much to say, in my opinion, but he did touch up on a little bit on the connection that him and DC are gaining and are producing through this offseason. He said that through the summer camps that a guy like DC led out there in Vegas before mandatory or unmandatory or the voluntary workouts, he said that him and DC were gaining a lot of reps on those practices that DC was holding on that little field that they had out there. He said they're also gaining a lot of reps right now in the voluntary camps, and they're also going into training camp very, very soon. So he said that he knows that their connection is only getting better going into the season. But to hear that, to hear him say that, yeah, we've got a lot of reps in the camps before, we're getting a lot of reps right now, and we still got more to come. I like to hear that from Bryan Edwards. I think that this could be a guy who's going to be a solid 1B receiver, man. Could possibly be a 1A receiver in the future. I'm excited for Bryan Edwards, and I'm excited to see and hear that, you know, him and DC are really working together, really working on that chemistry. So let's hope that everything goes down as how we thought, right? And the last person I kind of want to talk about today, because like I said, I do got a live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tune in. I'm going to be talking about Yannick Ngakoue, Gus Bradley, John Gruden, what all those guys said. But the last person, if you guys didn't see, Trayvon Moehrig had a small little interview. I believe it was with Eddie Pascal. It was like a 6-minute, 7-minute video. It's on the Raiders channel as well. But he was asked a couple questions, right? And what Moehrig had to say, which kind of shocked me in a bit, right? Eddie Pascal hit him with a good question. He said, out of everywhere that you played in college and out of everything that you're doing right now, learning this new Gus Bradley scheme, where do you think you fit the best? Where do you think your play style suits you the best in this scheme? And he's just said, there isn't one position that I feel that I'm most comfortable at. I feel like I can be used in many different places. I feel like I fit well in many different places, and I'm going to be doing that, you know? And I like to hear that, man. I really, really did. Because you know what that means to me? It means that to me, in practice, they're not just using him as a post-free safety. It means to me that it sounds like they're putting him in the slot sometimes, putting him in that nickel. You know, I like to hear that kind of stuff, right? And for him to say that he doesn't feel like he can only be at one spot and he could play in different places, bro, that's what you like to hear, because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to get the most out of your 43rd overall pick. That's how you're going to get the most out of him, right? If you just play him at free safety where he's 18 yards away from the play every single play, he can't make the plays all the time. But if you move him down from free safety, put him in the slot, put him in the nickel, put him in the box a little bit where he probably won't be at many. But if you move this guy around, because he is versatile, you can get the most out of Trayvon Moehrig, right? He also went on to closed out his little interview that he had with Eddie. He said, Eddie asked him, so how was your process with many other teams that you had leading into the draft? And how was your experience after, you know, you saw all the fans from Raider Nation, you know, welcoming you in with open arms and all that kind of stuff? He said it was fun. You know, it was really, really exciting to see that everybody loved the pick. Everybody loved me coming in, playing for their team. And then Eddie Pascal, as a joke, kind of said, I know you like that little follower count that boosted up. He said, oh yeah, the followers went up like a bunch after that happened. And he also went on to say that out of all the teams that he had interviews with, he probably had an interview with all 32 teams, in my opinion. Probably did. He said out of all the teams that he had an interview with, he enjoyed the Raiders interviews the most, right? I mean, and again, this could be a situation where he's just being PC, right? Politically correct, and doesn't even really want to say too much, but he said that he enjoyed the Raiders interviews the most. He enjoyed interacting with the Raiders in the process the most. So it all worked out well for him, but I mean, shoot, there was a lot of stuff that we got. Not too much news on the field, but we got a lot of words from the players, right? We got a lot of news from the players. And I like to see that kind of stuff. I like to hear that kind of stuff. So that's why I brought it to you guys. You know, it was 4 people right there. We had Moehrig, DC, Edwards, and Jacobs that I just spoke about. Those were all the guys from yesterday's presser. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., I will be live. I will be touching up on the Yannick Ngakoue presser, the Gus Bradley presser, and the John Gruden presser. You know, those guys said some key things, and I want to talk about those with you guys. But that'll be it for today's video, Raider Nation. Like, comment, and subscribe if you can. And I'm out. Peace.